What's up, guys? It's Monty. The air conditioner is going to be going in the background, and I kind of want to talk about this recurring theme that I've been seeing brought up in a lot of, I don't want to say a lot, that might be an exaggeration, but I've seen it in 2 videos today from 2 different creators, and I'm kind of over it, and I just want to talk about this idea of forced diversity, because I don't really understand where this is coming from. Like, I really just don't get it. But this idea that a book checks too many boxes is just so foreign to me, because I really just can't wrap my mind around that concept. And I also can't wrap my mind, this is another thing that I saw get brought up earlier, that I don't want to say the argument was we don't need own voice narratives, or that the representation isn't key to a story because you should be able to relate to any character. And I don't think I've ever seen anyone argue the opposite. Like, I don't think I've ever seen a video or an article or a tweet where someone was sitting out here like, as a black person, I could only relate to other black characters. I think the issue is that as people of color, we are always forced to relate to a white narrative. But routinely we are seeing that white people just don't empathize with people of color and their struggles. You can find any review of any hyped book by a person of color. You will see these white reviewers consistently coming out with, I couldn't relate to the narrative. It was a struggle to connect to the characters. I don't know what I'm trying to get out of this. I think I'm just so confused, and I'm just so over it. I don't really know how I want to frame this discussion. I don't really know what I want to get out of this discussion. I just was really annoyed earlier, and so I'm just a reactionary person. I just don't understand where the other side is coming from, but people in the video and in the comment section of the video seem to understand what this was all about. And so I was just kind of like, maybe if I make a video, people will comment and I'll be able to get it. So this is what this is. I can understand there being like poor representation, or representation that was included, like I said, that didn't live up well, that it felt like was included for marketing purposes. But I don't understand any of those concerns when it comes to like own voices novels. And this is really kind of inspired by, I was watching Steph over at Steph's Romance talk. She had her live show with Bree Hill, and they got into Red, White, and Royal Blue, and I kind of had to just leave the live chat because I didn't understand any of the points they were trying to make. I didn't understand how there were somehow too many boxes the book wanted to check off. I didn't understand that complaint just at all. Like, even if Casey McQuiston is a white person, I don't understand how that is somehow, like, including a biracial main character is a bad thing, including a gay prince is a bad thing, including a woman president is a bad thing, including the vice president's daughter being bisexual is bad. Like, I didn't understand. I didn't get it. Maybe I'm a queer person, and so, like, when you're a queer person, I find that you have people in your life that are also queer. So, like, is it the fact, like, I didn't get it. And the only thing I understand is, like, I think I already mentioned this, but if a book includes representation there and it's just used for marketing purposes because when you're reading the book it's like not present at all, or it's present but it's poorly handled, then I can understand it. But even then, I don't think that it's forced. I think that the author just didn't do a good job of executing it. The world is more than white people. The world is more than straight people. The world is more than just singular race identifying people. Like, not everyone is just African or just Chinese. Like, biracial people exist. Biracial queer people exist. Like, I don't understand how writing people that exist into a story is checking off too many boxes. I want to talk about some own voice novels, because I feel like we really hype them up, right? So we hype them up, they get all their nice reviews, and then a month or two later, it's the backlash time, and it's time to talk about how, oh, that book was fine, but you know, this trope that it had in it was actually really bad. And I just want to say this in a video that is a dedicated video. I do not care that Children of Blood and Bone has a terrible insta-love romance. I could not give a singular fuck. Just now, in 2019, are we finally getting some more black fantasies that are super hyped. Just now are we getting A River of Royal Blood, I think that's the name of that book, or Kingdom of Souls, or Daughters of Nri. Like, just now. But just now are we getting more, right? So just now are we getting books, or even in the same category, the same genre as Children of Blood and Bone. I mean, I'm sure that there were other black fantasies by black authors that came out before. I'm not saying that Children of Blood and Bone is the only one, but just now are we getting more hyped mainstream titles. Like, just now. Just now are we getting that. So, I'm not gonna sit here and drag it because Zaylee and Anon's romance was shit, because I also said in that review that I believe the real romance in the book is between Zaylee and Amari, like hashtag OTP for life. Sorry, like it just is. Much like Hello Girls, they're gay. So these are books that exist in a space that I'm not going to say they're all flawless and great. I think that it's also really important to recognize that for a lot of people of color, there isn't a book where they get to have that trope. And so I don't think it was Tomi Adeyemi like reclaiming insta-love for the black community. I don't think that's what it was, but I also feel like if that's what is going to be included, then go for it. Do it. Reclaim the trope. I don't care if it's been used 300 times. And I think that I'm just now getting to that kind of a place myself. So I don't expect everyone to already be here, because the Monty of 2018 wasn't there. You know what I mean? So I'm not saying that you have to be here now. Like, life is all about growing and you're bettering yourself every day or whatever. So I don't think that it's like if you're not here, then there's no more hope for you. But I think that what I've come to understand is that, like, yeah, there aren't a lot of opportunities for black people to have that insta-lovey moment, that moment that doesn't really come out of nowhere. But on the whole, Children of Blood and Bone is a good book. It's a fantastic novel, and I love it. And maybe that makes me a biased individual. I don't really care. I just don't. I am not really understanding the backlash the book has gotten, mostly because of that. Because again, there aren't a lot of books where you get to have that with a black character, and that is important. Just like if it was an Asian character, there aren't very many books where you get to have that moment with an Asian character, a Latinx character, a First Nations character. There are, like, just because white people have gotten to do it 3 million times doesn't mean that we should cancel the trope for everybody. Where you should be able to identify with every character. This thing where I thought we were in a place where we were above race, that you're more than just a color. And I think people who make this argument are just not getting the point. Like, you are being willfully ignorant to the conversation. Just, you have to be willfully ignorant. I'm just gonna say it. I'm sorry, it's the truth. The thing isn't that I can't connect with white characters, right? I think I have a bookshelf full of white people. The majority of the books that I've read in my entire existence have been white people. Characters that I would like ride or die for are, in most part, white characters. It's not that as a black reader I can't connect to white characters, that I'm tired of seeing white characters. I think white characters should like not exist, that I can't find qualities in those characters that are like me. But it's that there are just so many of them. Right? Like, there are just so many mainstream, readily available, hyped books featuring white protagonists doing white people things. And there isn't that for black people. We're just now kind of getting to a place where there are. You grow up identifying with whiteness, right? Just the default in the book is a white person. Having characters that aren't white existing in these same spaces is a very powerful thing. It just is. I'm sorry. It is. And it's not that I can't relate to white people. I've been forced to relate to them my entire existence because the stories, they're filtered through a white lens, right? Books don't have that with people of color. If you go to any hyped book and you look at it by a person of color, featuring characters of color in the main role of the story, and you read the Goodreads review, any negative review, you can even pick a 3-star, you can pick a 4-star book, and white reviewers will go out of their way to mention they couldn't connect to the characters, that they didn't think the culture was right, or I actually have an Indian friend and I know a little bit of Indian culture, and this Indian book written by this Indian author just got it all wrong because I know. There's this assumption that white people know what the culture is. There's this assumption that, oh, I'm a white person, I can't connect with that because that is for people of color. So I don't think Own Voices novels need to teach anybody any particular thing. I don't think it's the job of an author to do that. But I do think the Own Voices novels show, just like I've had to empathize with your stories, you can empathize with my story. And I don't see how that's lost. I really just don't get it. And I don't think that anybody on Twitter, or anybody on BookTube, or anybody in a blogosphere, or in some random internet article that is advocating for Own Voices novels is saying that you can't relate as a black person to some white character. That as a person of color, you can't find a quality in a white character that identifies. No one is saying that. We all know that you've had to do that your whole life. We get it. We got it. We're good. But what we're also saying is that, it's just really good to be seen. I don't understand how we get to the point where it's like, I don't feel the need, I don't need to see a black person because I can identify with anybody. I thought we were above color. Because, that's not how it works. I don't trust people who say they're above color. I don't trust people who say they don't see color. That's just in general, but especially in the BookTube community, color is important. Color is part of who I am, okay? I'm not above it. It's part of my identity. So, I don't get it. I don't. Just like I don't get the forced diversity thing. And so this is a really long-winded... Wait, I spit a little, my bad. This is a really long-winded conversation for something that I think is actually really brief. And so hopefully Editing Monty is able to finesse that into a conversation that I think we can actually have in the comment section. So that's all I have to say. Like I said, hopefully I'll be able to edit this into a conversation. Feel free to drag me in the comments here. Feel free to come for me on Twitter. I'm secure enough in myself that I really don't care. If you're just doing too much, you're just gonna get blocked, and I'm gonna live my life. So thanks for watching. I'm gonna go here, and I'll see you guys in my next video whenever that happens to be. But until then, bye.